like to welcome Greg Daniels of Cudjoe Bee to Vacation Rental Owner News. Greg helped us relocate a hive that formed under our home here in the Florida Keys, so thanks for that, Greg. Then he agreed to come to our studio and answer a few questions that might help vacation homeowners if they run into some challenging, uninvited guests, honeybees. Greg, what advice would you give homeowners who found out they have a honeybee hive on their property?
First thing I would do is I would contact local expert beekeepers in your area, pest control services. A lot of pest control services will use local beekeepers to eliminate hives.
What would you suggest I do if I wanted to try something to get rid of them on my own?
If you see a beehive on your property, and a lot of times the bees will get inside a wall, up underneath a soffit or something like that, the worst thing you can do is get out your can of Raid or other insect killer and spray those. What you're doing is you're not killing the bees themselves, you're killing the few hundred bees that you see on the outside. What you don't realize that inside, many times that hive is 5,000 to 7,000 bees, and even more if it's been there a long time. So you're only killing the first few that you see, and basically you're making the rest very mad.
We have a time-lapse video of you at work. Could you walk us through the process?
When we show up at a location, what I like to do myself is I do a pre-drop by, and we have an infrared camera we use. We have a borescope we can also use, and good old-fashioned techniques is my bare hand and the years of experience that we have doing this. We check out what's going on with the hive and figure out what's going to be the best way, knowing from what we've done in the past how to get at the hive. When the removal day comes, the first thing we do is get an eye of get a walk around overview of the area to make sure nothing has changed, nothing has become different than when we first looked at it, and confer with my helper and figure out the best way to approach the hive. And he and I talk it out so that we're both on the same page, because once you suit up in the bee suits, a lot of times the communication becomes an issue. So once we get get our equipment set up, make sure everything works, and most of the time we carry doubles of our equipment also, because we have had failures of equipment in the middle of removal, which is kind of a scrambling situation. We begin by removing whatever is keeping us from getting at the hive. In this time-lapse video, it's simple. We unscrewed a bunch of screws and we're able to remove a 4x8 sheet of plywood. Many times we have to use saws, we have to use hammers, pry bars, and everything else. And one of the things that you try to avoid to do when you're doing the destruction part of it is creating too much noise and too much vibration. The noise and vibration a lot of times will upset bees. And the last thing we want to do is have the bees upset and coming down to attack us. The other problem is if we upset the bees too much, they begin to scatter inside the walls. And if the queen runs to where we can't get her, then we stand less of a chance of being able to fully recover the hive and remove it.
What do you do with the bees after this?
We have a specially designed vacuum. It's a bee vac. It's a highly modified shop vac. And what the shop vac does is it's diffused, so we suck the bees up into the with the shop vac, and it's into a modified basically beehive, a commercial beehive. And what that beehive allows us to do is we take it to our managed apiary and we set it on top of an empty bee box that's got its frames and everything in it. We pull the bottom slot off of that, and the bees migrate out of the catch box and into their new home.
How did you get started in beekeeping?
I started out in beekeeping as a hobby. It was a neighbor was doing beekeeping, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, so he got me started a little bit. At the time, we had one hive, and it was set not at our home, it was set in another location. And unfortunately, Hurricane Irma came along. Hurricane Irma unfortunately wiped out our beehive. After we got our house cleaned up a bit, I went and picked up what was left of our hive and set it up in our yard. That I was not planning on staying in beekeeping. I had decided that I was going to move on to other things and keep other things going on. We came back from vacation one day, and one of my close friends told me that, hey, I thought you weren't going to be keeping bees anymore, and I told him I wasn't. He pointed at the hive, and I had bees. From there, we kept bees for a while at the house, and then I started getting I got a call from a friend about a beehive in his soffit. So we went and got the beehive out of his soffit, and of course I had to go out and buy all the equipment to put the bees in their new home. And my wife is an accountant, so she determined that it was costing me a bit of money to do that. So when the second and third bee removal came along, she told me in no uncertain terms that I was not allowed to keep any more beehives, that we needed to start charging for this service. Not only did it take to my time to do it, that it was something that was costing us money out of our pocket. And to be honest, we really weren't eating a whole lot of honey. We had more honey than we knew what to do with. So like anybody starting out, I ordered a bunch of bottles off of Amazon, probably one of the most expensive ways to get bee bottles for honey jars, and filled them up and put it on Facebook. And in less than 2 hours, I think the first time was like an hour and 15 minutes, we sold out of all the honey that my wife and I had bottled and put our little names on with our printer, our home printer, and a couple of labels. Well, that was the start of Cudjoe Bee. Today we are a fairly large company. I believe I'm the second largest honey producer in Monroe County.
I understand there are health benefits of local honey.
Health benefits of local honey. It's been said for years that local honey, as long as it's got to be raw honey, and I prefer to keep it within 50, 75 miles of where you are. If you get raw honey from that area, it will help with your allergies. Now, my mother is one who absolutely does not like honey and did not believe in this, but she was taking a allergy pill every day. So I told her, I said, just try this. And sure enough, about 2 weeks later, after taking a tablespoon every day, she called me and said, I'm not taking my allergy pill anymore. It works better for some people. For me, it works, but not as well as it works for her. She could not believe it, and she takes honey every morning after she gets up.
Where do you post what products you have available?
What we do is a lot of times we'll post on our Facebook page, Cudjoe Bee Honey on Facebook. We'll post what we have going on. We go to a local market every Saturday, or just about every Saturday, and we sell our honey there. We also do gift boxes for Christmas and stuff like that. We visit a few of the local markets. And then I also, for my regulars, I have a regular route I drop off honey for, and we have no problem selling out. In fact, during season, I often have to skip markets because we sell out.
I understand you have some other products.
My products. Now, from the honey, we've branched out to a lot of different products. We have our world famous lip balm, I call it. It's a wonderful lip balm. It's only got 5 ingredients in it. It's amazing stuff. You can get our hand lotion, hand and body lotion, our body wash, and all our great products can be found at cudjoebee.com, www.cudjoebee.com, or from our Facebook page. And you can just give me a call or shoot me a message on Facebook. We normally respond within 24 hours. You get my wife or myself.
I understand you have vacation rentals of your own. Do you have any other tips or advice for vacation rental owners?
Wow. If you're not local to it, a good property manager. Oh my gosh, a good property manager is a godsend. I'm headed up, after we finish this interview this week, I'm headed up to do a week's worth of work to our rental to prep it for season. And I to say that's our number one thing that has been so good for us is a good property manager if you're not there to do it yourself. It's interesting enough you brought that up because my wife is right now scouring the internet and paper for our next vacation rental.
Oh, location or?
We're thinking in the same area as our other ones up in Naples, Florida, because just to keep it simple and keep it within reach. We have a couple of rentals in New York also, and those are a little bit too far for us to manage quite properly. But again, we have an amazing property manager up there who does great work. We've worked with him for a few years now, and we sleep well at night knowing that he's taking care of our stuff.
Thanks again to Greg Daniels of Cudjoe Bee, that's cudjoebee.com, for first relocating our bees and then taking the time to do an interview with us. And also for the delicious honey and lip balm. If you happen to harvest any more ramrod key honey, be sure to give us a call.